everyone. Today we're going to be reviewing the Stalk Exchange. Now this game is full of puns, so if that gets you laughing, you may want to check this one out. But before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are amazing and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, Randy, can you tell us a little bit more about Stalk Exchange?
I can. So Stalk Exchange is a 2024 release. This is one of the Ops releases that they had at Gen Con. It's got a Board Game Geek rating of 7.0 and a Board Game Geek rank of 14,289. 2 to 5 player game, average length of 45 minutes. That may actually be long in this case. It depends on players, obviously. Mm-hmm. Age 10 and up, yeah, probably. It's not that complex of a game. And you're managing a stock market, so it's, as long as they can understand economic, supply demand sort of logic. Design is Christopher Ryan Chan. Art is Diana Bertrand Herrera, and is published by the Op. It's an economic, action points, commodity speculation, and stock holding game, but it's very simple. It's not at all a complex game. This is definitely a light one.
Yeah.
I also would say, even though it's 2 to 5 players, I would not recommend playing this with less than 3. Probably the higher, going towards 4 or 5 is probably better. You're going to have less turns, but you're going to have more chance for the market to be altered. 2-player wasn't real fulfilling, I can say that.
Yeah, it wasn't. More players better. 2-player was okay, but it wasn't that great. I feel like more players is better.
As far as pricing, the MSRP on this is a little steep at $49.99, but that's because you get all wooden bits, which we'll talk about in a minute. The cheapest I found it online was at Game Nerds, but it's out of stock for $37.47. It's out of stock, I should say, I guess. Night and Day is the next one. I've never actually heard of them or ordered from them. They were at $41.99. Card House is $44.99, and I think that's what Miniature Market had it for as well.
Okay. All right. So let's get into quality of components. So you have these wooden things. Now these are actually paper crafted. They are not printed nor.
Well, they're screen printed on the tile, but the original art of it was a piece of paper mache, if you will, not paper mache, but folded paper.
Yeah. Well, no, it's paper on here.
They said that. Yeah. No, I think this is just screen printing of it.
Okay, well, it's raised. I don't know.
Yeah, it's raised, but it's screen printed. The original art for it was all folded paper, and then they took photographs, and that's what the image is. It's not drawn.
Okay,
which is still really cool.
That is still really cool. All right, so that's the thing. So that's this. And then you have your boards. You have 2 different boards. They are smooth. They don't have any type of linen finish or anything. You do get these little houses. Overall, quality of components, I'll give it a 6.5. I really like these, but other than that, that's really all that.
I'm probably a 7, although I think I have more grievances about the quality than you do, which is kind of odd, because I think these wooden things do make it worth more than the typical. I think they're outstanding, and the boards work pretty well. What didn't work very well in particular was this greenhouse bag. So they have a greenhouse and they have a compost bag. They're both the same size. You start out the game with all your tiles in the greenhouse bag, and you're supposed to mix them and draw them.
You can't mix them.
You can barely fit them in there. So yeah, we use our own auxiliary bag that we always keep handy for these such occasions, and worked fine. That one's larger bag, but this should have been bigger. The other thing was the cardboard. Some of it was already pre-scratched when I got the game out.
Oh no!
So one of our little huts has a big white mark across it, which was kind of disappointing. And the cardboard looks kind of like what you would see in a Kickstarter. It's not great quality, but it is a good thickness.
All right, so
as far as quality, I think I'm 7.
Okay, so moving on to the theme. It's a pun theme.
Yeah.
It's on the verge of cheesy.
Yeah. Well, you've got the Stalk Exchange, obviously, which is a play on words, and then you have these spades that you can use to do extra actions and manipulate kind of the market, and that they're called seedy business, which is appropriate for the seeds
Yeah.
and so on. So I can appreciate a good bad pun. So
Yeah, I mean, if you love them, which I married Randy, so that should tell you how much I love him.
yeah,
So just be aware of that. The art, I liked the paper kind of craft thing. I
Yep.
think it makes it very, very pretty. I think they did a great job with that. It does seem consistent and kind of works through everything. Am I super impressed? Like, I'm probably will give this a 7.5 on theme. It kind of works as a business game, but yet keeping it light and a little bit more user friendly to other people because it's just flowers versus a heavy business game that people typically
this is
fear.
definitely not. If you're looking for a meaty economic game, this is not it. This is a light, almost like a party style economic game.
No, I wouldn't. Sort of,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah. So just kind of keep that in mind. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing I'm probably actually going to stick with a 7 on this one. The main thing is the art on the tiles is amazing. But when you look at the art on the tiles and compare it to the art on the boards, the art on the boards is very, I don't know, I wouldn't say bad, but it's just very basic.
Well, I think they were trying to do the same thing, like get that paper craft quality. They didn't achieve it.
Yeah, it doesn't look three-dimensional at all. It's like it's supposed to look. This is supposed to be this market, and this is supposed to be a roof, and the grass outside. But it all just kind of smushes together and blends in. It doesn't come off as being three-dimensional at all.
I mean, you could see where they tried.
Yeah.
I don't think they hit 100% of the mark, which is why the tiles are pretty.
Yeah, the tiles are amazing.
But everything else was a little bit lackluster for me. Because I don't think they 100% hit it out of the park. I can see where they were going. It didn't get there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I scored.
I scored. No, I'm not. I'm doubting why you scored it. I'm just giving it a 7.
Fair enough. All right, so moving on to the rulebook. Randy, how was the rulebook?
The rulebook's fine. It's 12 pages long. Full-size book, matches the cover of the box to some extent. It's a little bit different, a flower arrangement. Not quite. It's probably the same. It's just blown up, I guess. Then you get into a one-page component list. Has pictures of everything, which I like to see. There's one page we're talking about paper craft artwork, where they're talking about how they made the flowers and such. That was, I thought, really cool, and it's from the artist, so
yeah,
that's neat. And then they got the player setup. They only give you a 3-player example, which is fine. I guess that's typically what you see. What I do like about the setup is on the board, I think I called this out in the other video, they have butterflies pictured on certain spaces, and they have bees to show you where you arrange them. It would be nice if they actually had something to say bees were for 2-player and
they're trying to keep
butterflies were 3 or to 5.
They were trying to keep it visually appealing.
Yeah, so it's not hard as long as you know bees represent the 2-player game and the butterflies represent the 3 to 5. It's easy to set up. And then, a certain number of spades, depending on player count, who gets how many. So, with 3 players of us, everybody gets 3, but it goes up once you have 4 or 5. People get more. Then you have the gameplay overview, which is really just listing what's on this little cheat sheet. The cheat card works actually really well. It sits nicely. You can just stick it right there on top of your building and look down at it. You have the action phase on one side. You don't want to do what I just did there because that would reveal your investments. And then you've got the upkeep phase where it shows you all this cleanup steps on the turn.
Yeah.
And that's really the most complex part of the game is the cleanup, because you have to know which tiles are going to trigger and then which ones you leave the way they are. And it's got pictorials. I mean, it's a very quick read because there's so many pictures in the book. It just takes you right through it. And then your game end scoring, and then there's a summary right on the back. You'll never even need this because it's such an easy game, and this card takes care of everything. So, I think it does a good job. I think it's, perfect length for this type of game. It has great examples in it. I'm probably going to give this. I really don't know what else more they could do. They've got some puns in there to make it to entertaining. I'm going to give it 10.
Okay, perfect. All right, great. All right, so moving on to the actual gameplay. Like I said, if you want to see a full playthrough, it is posted. But you basically have 12 hidden stocks inside of your little shed, and that will determine how you want to play the game. Now, there are some basic actions you can take. You can either trade out, so maybe I don't want a red anymore, maybe I want the white, or it could be, the other thing I could do is plant. So I could say, okay, well, I actually got rid of the red so I can plant it. So I'm going to go over here and plant it. Now, once those 2 actions are taken, you do have 3 actions that you can take throughout the course of the game if you wanted to add to it. I'm not going to. And then, because these have some room to grow, they're going to actually grow. Okay, and that's my turn. So this one gets discarded, and then these come up, and it gets refilled. So that's the turn. You play until the plants end up meeting.
Yeah. Now, when she says when you play till the plants, the way the plants end up on the scoreboard over there is if you surround a plant such that it's completely
Like
cut off.
The red will go.
Right, so if it's in the middle like that, or if it's on the perimeter and it gets surrounded, but it has to be a full-grown bulb. It doesn't get removed if it's still a bulb. As a matter of fact, if it's surrounded after you place the bulb and nothing else gets removed, the bulb won't grow, so it'll sit there until it can grow. So if the tiles you place, you will not be able to trigger to remove and score them. So you got to keep that in mind. You're building for the future and hoping somebody else will surround them for you to score them.
Yeah.
So you don't want to necessarily give away your hand by just always playing the same color that you have in your supply, which I thought was clever, but it's not super engaging. The other action you can take with these spades, you get 3 of them at the beginning of the game, is you can wipe the Stalk Exchange. So if there's nothing up there you want, or as a strategic play, if you know your opponent's seeking a specific color, and after your turn a bunch of it comes up, you can actually play it and wipe the board after you're done and get rid of everything. So you can stop other people from getting what's left on the board. So you can use them to your advantage. You can play as many of them as you want. Typically, you'll want to say, I like to save them till the end of the game when I could try to trigger the game end, because whenever the game ends when the 2 paths meet, very similar to Raja the Ganges or Arc Nova, if you've played either of those. When the 2 tracks meet, that triggers the end of the game. But in this case, when the 2 meet, whatever the value of the flower caused that to trigger, it's going to cause that flower to bust the market, and it will go half of its value. So you kind of want to block her for your scoring, so that one flower that maybe you don't care about so much wins, but it drives it down, and yours are kind of in positions 2 and 3. Because if 2 of the flowers meet, as Miranda found out was painfully in the demo,
I don't want to talk about it.
they both lose half their value. So yeah, you want to make sure that yours stay valuable.
All right, basically it oversaturated the market. So this game is pretty. The gameplay is all right. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're looking for a heavy or just a basic economic game, like Raw might be considered, or something like that. It's not a bidding game. It's not, I
wouldn't want a bidding game either. I don't like bidding games. No, this game, it's okay. It's just you're placing flowers down. I don't know. And the thing is there probably could be more strategy on, like, trying to get certain ones to play. But it just doesn't seem that exciting to me to do that. So it works. It's functional. It's okay. Like if someone says, I want to play that, I will.
Well, we've seen a lot of, I would say, entry to beginner level games this year that have very light mechanics but advanced strategy, a lot of thought put into them.
Well, you could.
This is not
yeah.
one of those even.
Well, I mean, I feel like there could be added strategy if with more players, it might be a lot better because you're trying to manage that.
But I'm not
But
sure.
It's not.
Yeah, I'm not sure there is. I mean, I don't think it's a bad game, but it's just not overly exciting. It works as a filler, but it's, given the fact that we like these light games that are easy to learn the rules, but yet they have a meaty game to play to them, this one does not have that meaty gameplay.
At the end of the day, would I be hunting this down on my shelves? No. That's the reality, right?
Yeah.
Like, would I play it again? Yes. Would I search for this on my shelves? I don't think I would. Not really. Not when I think of like Harmonies and some of these other ones that we've just played that are that much better.
Yeah.
So, score wise, I'll give it a 6. It was okay.
Yeah, I'm probably right there with you. I'll give it a 6.5 just because I think the art is so pretty and it is a quick little filler game. And filler games, it's hard to get a filler game to be very meaty. So I give them a little, consideration. But if you have a few minutes to kill and you're waiting for people to show up to play your main game, this, you're just looking for activity. Maybe you have social people like Heather who like to just talk and play games. This is not a bad game for someone like that. But if you're looking for heavy strategy, this is not the game for you. We got Stockpile like right behind me that I have still yet to get to the table, but it's a stock market game that's lighter but supposedly more meaty. That's an example of one that
Doesn't that one have an app?
Yeah, I think there is an app for
I tried to play it. I can figure it out.
So, I think that one is going to be more rewarding if you're looking for something that's meaty for a simpler economic game. Otherwise, you're looking at the
Listen, if you want to stock
games,
games,
the 18XX series, or you're looking at
I just think of City and Big Shoulders.
Yes.
If you're wanting a good business economic game,
I wouldn't.
That one.
It's not a good business game. It's a good economic game for people who don't get obsessed with their business, which is what I do.
Hey, I still had fun. I got obsessed, but I also made sure I garner. There needs to be one little modification of the rules where you can buy back your stock. But other than that, it is fine. All right. You scored it. I scored it. It was a game we played.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kudos to the op for reaching out and trying different things. I gotta give them, because for many years it was rehashes of Monopoly and stuff.
That is fair.
I gave them a lot of support and love at Gen Con this year because I want to encourage more of these unique games coming from them.
Yes, and the paper crafting was beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast today, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.